Mel,
Brandon,
good to see you.
good to see you, my friend.
It's been a while.
Yes,
That's okay.
yes.
I've been enjoying it.
The time off?
Time away from you.
Oh, you know what? You sound like all the rest of them. I think you sound exactly like the rest of them. You know, I'm on number 3.
No, I've been busier than hell. It's just, I don't know, too much going on. Homeschooling.
Oh, goddamn, yeah.
That's a little bit of work.
Oh, that's right here. I hear nothing but, oh my gosh. One of my grandkids, little Michael, he got first day, halfway through the first day, he already done 3 days worth of work on that online school.
Yep.
Ay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's finally time for Trump and Congress to put their money where their mouth is on these tax credits and trying to help out not only the parents, because they're getting a real feel now for, even if your kid's doing the hybrid program, they're still home 3 days a week, and the parents are really having to step up and do their thing. And Trump had talked about that early on in his campaign in 2016, that trying to get some tax credits.
That's why I hired Betsy DeVoe.
That's right, and that's exactly why I hired her. And he even brought it up at the State of the Union here a few weeks ago, but I guess he just can't get Congress off center to do anything. And it would sure be, there's no time like the present, Mr. Trump.
Yeah.
And congressmen and women, get your asses up off your chairs and do something for the American working man.
Well, this the grab for power, when it starts being so detrimental to the country, is just a horrible thing. And it's terribly regressive doing stuff like that. I just can't get my head around why. I understand that they hate Trump or whatever, but
this is one item he's extremely right about.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you know how many pedophilias they've been bringing in? Speaking of little kids.
Oh,
holy cow, hundreds of them. They saved all those little kids. They saved 300 little kids that I know of, and God only knows what's happening to the rest of it.
You think this is a result of Epstein getting knocked off, and then his confidant getting picked up and thrown
I'm sure that they're all tied together, but Trump is actually doing something about it, and he's, and kind of Ricky Gervais might have started some of this stuff, but Corey Feldman and everybody poo-pooed him, like, oh, come on, you're blowing it, and he wasn't. But then you go back in the lineage of Hollywood and how decadent it is. Even Shirley Temple was exploited, and it's just exploiting children. When you got a bunch of children, you look at it different.
Yeah, and it's absolutely disgusting. And you've even seen more lately about this. Kids getting nabbed in bigger cities and stuff for this child trafficking, and it's gotta get people. I mean, we're lucky to live
Beyond guard.
Lucky to live in a small town once again, but
they talk about hitting Walmarts and marking the cars and stuff, and it used to be a conspiracy theory, but it is true. And all the milk carton labels that we saw for all those years, these people disappearing, like it wasn't aliens taking them.
No. So, hey, kind of want to talk about something tonight.
Sure.
Cancel culture.
So kind of fits right in.
It does a little bit. So I was a little put off with the Arkansas decision to cancel it, and it's their reasoning.
Cancel culture doesn't. The two don't really. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, it seems to be the thing or the flavor of 2020 since the COVID. But just if it ain't easy, we cancel it. And,
well, okay.
And unless it's something they really want to do, like high school football. And then of course, we're on, right? But if it's going to school 5 days a week, we'll cancel that. So,
well, but cancel culture means canceling history.
Well, it also means canceling everything you want to do. It's not just when you cancel an event like Arkansas for no good reason.
Well, they had a good reason. The circus pulled out.
Okay. There's a lot of excuses, Mel.
Well, there was the domino effect. First, it was the uncertainty of it having it at all because of Kim Jong-Kelly and the mask mandate and the social distancing. I don't even understand what the hell that means.
That's so dumb.
And the CDC had to correct again. They just had their correction on their national numbers, and how they jumped the gun, the pandemic, and they had to admit that it's not a pandemic. It's really didn't ever measure up to what it was supposed to be. Then they had to deal about they had to
the mask
deal. They had to renege on their mask. The mask don't work. It's just.
I don't know, Mel. I really think, and I, it's easy for me to say I'm an outsider, but I wish they'd had a light Arkalala this year. I mean, I realized they didn't have any bands. Probably a lot of food vendors are pulling out and all these things, but damn it, what was Arkalala like 50 years ago, Mel? Before we had all the other schools bands come here, it was just the Arkalala people of Arkansas City. Is that what it was?
And that's a good point.
I mean, why can't we go back to that?
I don't know.
Have our own party without having any outsiders.
Have a street night, have a street dance or something.
Yeah, no outsiders.
No outsiders might be a great thing. It's about time we looked inwardly and looked at ourselves instead of attacking each other. We actually embraced each other.
And so I really wish they would have done something, even if it was a one-day festival. Didn't have to be anything, extravagant.
And a few food vendors, and and there's enough restaurants and stuff out of town. Which WB Meats is doing their simulated Arkalala deal with their pork burgers and their bratwurst. To bring that flavor back, because everybody mentions it. My little girl.
She's devastated.
She's devastated. Arkalala was her thing, and she's just beside herself at the thought of not having Arkalala.
I realize that. I mean, I didn't know this till I seen it in the paper or something, but I suspected the only other time it would have been canceled been during the war.
World War II.
And I mean, the gravity of this situation versus World War II is so far on a different spectrum.
World War II was done out of reverence. It didn't feel right with 5 million men under arms
to go out and celebrate.
It was reverence. It was just this is not the right thing to do. And there's a casualty rate. Actually, there's like 43 guys actually got killed in World War II. And, a lot of people, and some famous incidences. The 5 SPD bombers that flew out and disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle. One of the pilots was an Ark City guy.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, bossy. So we had a lot to be reverent about, and to think that when you send the cream of your crop out to fight for a just and righteous cause, versus, hey man, a goddamn mask. You're right. I try to rationalize what they did because they were forced. Their hand was forced, but they should have substituted, or they could have substituted.
Yeah,
should have is not right. They could have substituted.
Yeah, and I'm not bashing on any one of them committee members or the folks that were implementing the decision-making process, but God, we got to get back to normal. And if nobody's going to take a stand to be normal, we'll never get back to normal. And this was one big opportunity, Mel, and we missed it.
Well, and this redefining normal, they keep on saying that we're not going to go back to the way we were. Well, if we don't go back to the way they were, I don't see anything better than what we had. I mean, people keep saying that
this is the new norm.
This is the new norm.
Oh, that phrase just pisses me off.
This is a horrible thing. Let's go around in perpetual fear and looking at everybody's suspicion all the time, and the division, not only the right wing and the left wing, but also between the races. And you just can't run a country like that. I mean, the hormonal, when everybody has the chance to succeed, but yet you start taking that away for a power grab, when you limit our ability to make a living, and that's what all this, as far as I'm concerned, this whole thing was about, some kind of strange, bizarre power grab. When you got outside in like George Soros pumping money into this stuff. I mean, Barbara Bollier, it's not Bollier, it's Baller. Barbara Baller, she got, I think, $10 million from Chuck Schumer dumped into her coffer to run again so the Democrats could grab another seat. And these elections should be about us. They should be what we want, what we see, how we want to represent it. And is buying these elections with this unbelievable amount of money. George Soros pumped, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars to secure whatever he wants between judges and district attorneys and whatever he was trying to secure to subvert and undermine us. We've got to resist those things. I mean, the Manchurian Candidate is here. The Manchurian Candidate was a subversive plant. We were so afraid of the Russians grabbing a foothold. Well, they did. I mean, but it's not necessarily Russians. It's just everybody that's against the United States, because we have what they don't have, and they hate it.
And they do hate it. They hate us for it.
They hate us for it.
No, I just want people to focus on, and this just goes back to everything from the school board deciding to do the hybrid program with the school and all these things. But I want people to think, Mel, critically. I want them to think for themselves. Sure. And turn off the damn TV, turn off the news, hell, turn us off, or fact check us, do something. But the idea and the premise of when you're basing all of your decisions on something else was told to you, it's a terrible place to be. And even great people, Mel, can make poor decisions.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, if you got your blinders on, you just keep hearing what somebody's telling you, and soon enough it becomes truthful to you.
Yeah. Or Goebbels, the famous Nazi propagandist.
Yeah.
You tell a lie off enough, it'll become the truth.
It'll become the truth. And so, they keep telling you, oh, you have to wear a mask, you have to wear a mask, you have to wear a mask. Well, the next thing you know, the new norm is you have to wear a mask. Well, I just want you, as Ark City people, Cali County people, national people, wherever you're from, look around. Look at the people you know. Look at the people you see at the stores. Look at the people you interact with. How many of them are deathly ill of COVID? How many of them are dying? How many of them are, something's going on in their life as a result of Black Lives Matter? All the things that they're trying to use as scare tactics to redirect us and be subjected to things that we normally wouldn't want to be. And also heed to them, because that's what's happening, and that's exactly what happened with Arkansas. And I'm not blaming just Arkansas Committee, Mel, because all the other people, all the other bands, all the vendors, all the pancake feed people, all these people
Pancake Feed was the first to go.
I know, but I mean,
capitulated first.
But my point is, Mel, is none of these people thought for themselves. They just did whatever Rachel Madcow and the news media is telling them to do, and it's to the point of where it's embarrassing when you listen to somebody and say, well, we were backed up against the wall and we didn't have any other choice. Well, yeah, you did have a choice. You didn't have to put on that mask. You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to fall victim to what the media is telling you to do, and it's...
Of course, fall victim to, and I absolutely agree 100% what you're saying, fall victim to, but the way it's presented with this broad mass sweeping bombardment from everywhere you turn.
It is.
It's incredible, and mathematically it doesn't make any sense at all. Mathematically it does not pan out, but it's just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and you cannot. When like you do a Google search, and the first 100 things are anti. You can't get to anything that you believe to be certain. Like 4chan and QAnon and all these different sites that see something a little different. They're all suppressed. You can't find them at all. They're so afraid of a counter point of view, and hey, can't we weigh these things ourselves?
And that's even like what Facebook's done, back to the cancel culture thing. But Facebook is, which they're going to be under pretty thick scrutiny here pretty quick, but they only push what they want you to see.
Yeah.
I mean that,
and blatantly, and to the nth degree.
Yeah,
it's not some hidden agenda. It's not social engineering. It's blatant manipulation.
It is, and it's scary, and that's why, I think years from now, when my kids are grown and they're in their workforce, and I tell you what's going to separate leaders in an organization from followers. The $1 million question: are leaders born or made? And people always go back to how that is, or maybe they're both. Well, the leaders that are going to be coming out of this next generation, Mel, are going to be the ones that can think for themselves. And this propaganda that's just pushed and pushed and pushed through, and all these people that just take it for gospel, Mel, it's
people hiding in their basement right now. Right this very minute is just terrified. But and the problem, one of the problems I have is that the blatantness of when Joe Biden is what they produce as the guy they want to run the country. I mean, the insanity of that. But yet it's forced upon us, and because of this, beyond a political divide, you voted for Joe. You're not voting for Joe. You're voting for that system that's going to shove shit down your throat. So
that whole moniker of things that he's just their little puppet at the moment, and he's a terrible one.
Not even a good puppet.
He's a terrible one at that. But
representation, if that's the best they've got to offer, then subversively, you should be scared. You should be worried about this. I mean, they didn't even make an attempt to bring somebody forth, and they had 26 or 29 people running, and they had some that could have been formidable opponents.
Tulsi Gabbard was the, in my opinion, the shining star of the Democratic nominees, and they poo-pooed on her because she didn't think like them. She thought critically. You know, she didn't agree with Trump on almost anything, but she did on a few things. But the fact that she could think for herself.
That and you know, this anarchy that's set upon what over 100 days in
Washington,
Oregon, Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, Portland, rather.
Over 100 days of destruction. The place is just devastated. And you know, to Britain, after the Blitz in Britain, they still haven't recovered. There's still buildings in shambles because it costs so much to replace all that stuff. And now they're estimating insurance just in Portland, $2 billion of insurance claims. Well, I know when the World Trade Center got hit, my insurance went up. And so I was expecting, and we hadn't had a claim or anything, and I got a letter saying congratulations, you know, whatever consecutive years, no claim, and in the next envelope opened up, and here they raised my rates. I called them, what are you doing? Raise my rates? I just got to, well, somebody's got to pay for that World Trade Center. We don't have enough money to pay for it.
And it wasn't.
And that was
fractured. And it wasn't just the World Trade Center. It was all the buildings surrounding it.
Everything, the entire insurance claim. You know, there's not a bunch of individual insurance companies. There's one insurance pool that has all the money. Sure. You might have umpteen agents, but it's just one pool of money that all funnels in and out of, and they just manipulate it different. It's still one pool of money, just like Federal Reserve. So there's no difference. In fact, it is an aspect of lending agent of the Federal Reserve. But when we start digging into our public coffers to this extent, somebody's got to replace that money, and it's going to be the guys that work for a living, because this Antifa and Black Lives Matter and everything. And Black Lives Matter, as far as I'm concerned, is just an acronym for I don't want to work for a living, because I mean this free stuff, free college, free and Black Lives Matter just is not black people. In fact, all the protesters are white snowflakes that you know, have never really contributed. They're not contributors. If they racked up this school debt, but yet they've never done anything with their school debt, so it's hard to have sympathy for them. It's hard for me to look at their cause and say, oh, that's a just cause, because I'm not seeing it. I'm not really.
Well, and I don't give a shit how good their cause is when they start destroying personal property or public property. It's like, it doesn't give you a right to do that. It's not appropriate.
And they're not attacking the bourgeois. They're attacking me. I mean, there's some poor guy in the suburbs with a Trump flag up, and they surround his house and shine spotlights on it. And he goes to his door with a shotgun, and they arrest him for brandishing a deadly weapon.
Is that the guy in Missouri?
No, that Ken and Karen, that's a different one. This is another one. This was in, I don't know, Oregon somewhere, some other Democratic stronghold where they've infiltrated to the point where it's beyond common sense. I'm Republican, Democrat, you know. Having been in the unions, I was in several unions and working guy, spent my life blue collar guy, not much education, not very smart, not much education, but doesn't make me stupid, and I can see the obvious. I mean, dear God.
What do you think people ought to be doing, Mel? Get past this. Personally, get past this.
Well, probably the first thing people need to do is really be attuned to what's going on and quit relying. You know, it's just like I got an NFL site, and these guys are oblivious to everything. And the NFL is probably a representation of getting away from politics, and it's a manly sport. rough and tumble stuff, and here they are kneeling to the national anthem, which is just criminal. If you're on my time, you're on your employer's time. You take that shit, do it somewhere else. You have no business doing it to that spectacle. If you want to do it, then you should lose your damn job. People embracing that thought, oh, he has every right to show the black flag. No, not on my time, he doesn't.
Right.
Not on my time. One of my employees, he's got a bitch, he can come to me and bitch about it, but if you start going to my customers and bitching about it, well, you ain't gonna have a job. I mean, if you don't like to work there, that's fine. You got to complain, and especially if you got a complaint that's a social complaint that has nothing to do with football or your pay or the other damn thing.
And that's the problem too. I mean, it's not just football, Mel. It's almost every major sport. Sports used to be a place you could get away from politics, where you could sit in the stands next to as a conservative, sitting next to
you didn't know what he was.
A raging liberal.
You knew that his face was painted blue and gold.
That's right. You didn't see it. You just knew that you guys were both. It was something that you guys could both have on your Chiefs jersey, your Bulldog jersey, whatever it was, and root for something. And
root for a common goal.
But now sports have even divided that. Shame on them.
Horribly.
On them.
They have no right to do that, and the owners capitulating to the whims. And
and the premise that when you look at the football league, and I don't know what the statistical data is, but it's probably 80% Black Americans, 70% at best.
I have no idea.
They have hit the lottery. They are not deprived. We pay them millions of dollars as athletes. I mean, they're no more deprived than the next luckiest person in the world. And I'm perplexed at how they could draw the correlation as, oh, look at me, I'm an NFL star and I make millions of dollars.
Therefore, you should listen to what I'm saying. I'm an NFL star. I made millions of dollars. You should listen to me.
It's just,
but they didn't create a business. They didn't employ people. They don't. You're right.
It is crazy.
You're right. Equate wise, they're like your star guy.
I don't give a shit what color a player you are as a professional athlete. You made it. You are the lucky one.
Well, you worked hard, but you're the lucky one. Well, you created your own luck, but you did it all. It's just for you. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. It's just you.
And you're not deprived.
And it's just you. You didn't bring along 20 employees, and you didn't fight the IRS, and you didn't make payroll, and you didn't do any of that shit. You got your damn paycheck. If you're pissed all the way on drugs or hookers or whatever, that's your deal to do so. But you didn't create anything. You were paid for your job.
We've digressed a ways. We got to go.
Well, shout out to the new city manager.
Oh, yeah. So, Mel and I were talking about this the other night. We were going to shoot a podcast. We never got to it, but I just feel like the buzz in the city is better right now.
I think it is too.
And what I mean by that, and maybe some of it's, they've always been doing this stuff that Chad Beeson's been posting on his little street talk stuff, but
I don't think they have.
I don't think they have either, Mel. And I think they're back to doing business the way it should be. They're
street crews repairing streets.
Yep. And they're taking
cleaning up our ditches,
cleaning up the town, taking care of things.
Absolutely.
And I'm nothing but pleased at the moment, Mel.
I am too. In fact, I've stayed away from the last couple of commission meetings because I don't want to stir the pot. Let this thing run for a while, let it gel a little bit, and I don't want to be a fly in the ointment. As much as I despise some of those commissioners, and I hope they get voted out because, as far as I'm concerned, they're dead. But however, if you have a savvy, good city manager, they're irrelevant.
Well, Mel, here's the other thing too, and I haven't been going to all of them, but I've been watching all of them.
Yeah.
And Randy's got a way different approach.
He does.
So Nick, the old city manager, used to run the meetings, and he's just up there playing marionette with the commissioners.
Yep.
And he'd already stroked them and oiled and greased them prior to the meetings.
And then they look over there.
Oh, yeah.
Did I say the right thing?
Randy's completely hands off, and he's allowing these commissioners to govern the city. Now, I don't think he's letting them go into any any wrong direction. But if you just look at how little money we've spent since he's been here.
That's a big thing, yeah.
You just look. I mean, he hadn't spent any money to speak of.
There doesn't seem to be grandiose plans sitting in the wings waiting to spring upon us.
No, this guy is. I think commissioners made a good job selecting him.
I do know that they've been looking for input, and talking with one of the commissioners the other day about they want to have a new hospital board, and they're talking about how to get members. I said, well, publicly broadcast you're looking for somebody to be in here. Stop going to the same damn people. There's people out here that you don't know that might be more than qualified, and so instead of thinking that you know everybody, assume that you don't know anybody and ask.
Yep.
Just ask. Because, for years, it was just every board, everything was all filled with the Star Chamber people.
Well, did you watch Tuesday's meeting this past Tuesday? So
I got the synopsis.
Okay, well, Harrison, that's been on the show before, our Chinese friend that is American, but spends a lot of time in China, but he went, it was news to me until I turned it on, but he was bitching about, and I say bitching, he was bringing to the commissioners awareness that there's a lot of speeding going on and dangerous intersections, blah, 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 blah. You know what they did? They did a nice job. They said, we appreciate you, we hear you, we're going to look into it, and have you ever thought about being on a traffic safety committee board? And he did. He offered up before. He goes, hey, I'm spending a lot of time here now. If there's something I can do to help, let me know. And then they offered him a position to sign up to get on a traffic committee board.
So now synopsis, I heard he wasn't named. He told me he was going. I'll be damned. Whoa,
so,
really?
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy you want on those things,
yeah,
too.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Well, he's not from here, so he doesn't have any axe to grind. He doesn't know anybody, so he's not already predestined to who the retards are.
Mel, we got to go. Guys, keep it up. Be a critical thinker. Don't think everything you do is based off the media. Think for yourselves. You'll get past it. You really will.
That's right. Audio da.